Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me today is North Texas women's basketball head coach Jason Burton. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm good. A little tired, man, but I'm good. It was a long night last night.
Yes, it was. We will talk about that plenty. I was watching the game, and obviously, I had reached out to the North Texas SIDs and stuff, and be like, "Hey, can we get Coach Burton on for podcast?" I think I did that on Sunday or Monday, and knowing y'all had a game yesterday, and I was like, "Well, you just gotta hope they win it, because if not, it'll be like, oh damn." And then it went to 4 overtimes. I was like, "Please let them win this game."
Yeah,
So so that way. It's a more jovial podcast,
no
but
doubt.
yeah, well, 21-7 overall, 11-5 in conference play with 2 games left. I thought this was like a good time just to get you on to talk and get North Texas fans kind of the pulse of how you're feeling going into it, because it kind of picks up real quickly after this. You have games Rice, Memphis, and then tournament. So this is the last little break. But we can start with last night, 93-91 win over East Carolina in the Super Pit in quadruple overtime. One of the more incredible things I've seen covering North Texas. Just I don't know where to start. What was it like for you? What was it like?
I've never been a part of anything like that ever. And as recently, we've been playing all these close games,
Hmm.
playing all these overtime games, and then we just keep having chances to close it out, and something would happen. Missed free throw here. I know in regulation we're down one, we get fouled, and we split the free throws. Had to get a stop, go to overtime. I
Hmm.
really I went back. And today I was like, I'm not gonna watch the whole game. I'm just gonna watch like the last minute and a half of regulation and the 4 overtimes to start, and I'll go back and I'll watch the rest later on. And
Yeah.
we just had opportunities to close it out as well as they did, and we found a way to get it done. And so when that game was tough, when you just don't have legs, it's like who's gonna who's gonna contest the shot a little bit more, who's gonna make free throws, who's gonna block out down the stretch. And I mean, they had 3 clean looks that last or one clean look and then 2 tip-ins um in that last overtime, and we were able to pull it out. And so hats off to our team, man, because they stuck with it. We had players cramping, we had players just completely gassed in pain, and found a way to get it done. And normally, you know, you see Desiree Carnell or Tamisha Lampkin in foul trouble in regulation, and for them to be able to last that whole time and play discipline without fouling was huge for us.
Yeah, I mean, Colonel wins with 0 fouls. I was gonna ask you how that's possible in 56 minutes. Like, as a coach, you'd be like, "Yeah, just give me 1 foul here." Just
I was okay with it because
you're good.
normally we're playing with one of those two on the bench because of foul trouble, and it
Yeah.
changes your rotation. And so to be able to have them on the floor, because ECU is so, man, they're so big inside. They got the twins that transferred over from Florida. They got Mai, who was out of high school, one of the best recruits in the country, and their interior is huge. And then you look at their guard play, and Danae McNeil was up for Player of the Year preseason, and she's going to be in the conversation for Player of the Year. And they're just long, and so they make it extremely tough to score on them. And they're like fifth in the country in turnovers forced. They average 22 forced turnovers a game, and so to get in that game and only have 24 for 4 overtimes was a huge accomplishment. And then for DK and Mish to stay out of foul trouble and against the size of their interior was huge for us.
Yeah, because I mean, following your team just throughout the year, obviously Desiree and Tamisha have been like the heart of the team, and both of them get double doubles. They combine for, was it 45 points and 32 rebounds. Um, you mentioned, I mean, they both play over 53 minutes. Just the play of those two, not just in this game, but like throughout the year, and how they've been that like steadying force for your team. How comforting is that, and how, I mean, impressive. Obviously for you, Desiree coming over with you from Commerce. Just what has it been like with those two?
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were going to be good. I didn't know they were going to be this good. And probably the most impressive thing is just their efficiency. I think Mish is either fourth or fifth in the country in
Yeah,
field
like
goal percentage,
63% or something like that.
64%. And then, DK is shooting above 50%. So for your front court to be as dominant as they are and do it efficiently, they're scoring on not a lot of shots. And for a long stretch, DK was one of the best as far as free throw attempts and free throws made in the country. and she's still up there. I think she's top 20 still. Um,
Mhm.
it helps out our guard so much, and they were such a huge just impact, really carrying us early on. But now our guard play has really ramped up. I thought defensively, our guards have been good for the most part, but they're starting to score the ball and shoot the ball a lot better now. And one player that probably doesn't get enough credit for us is Sham Duncan, who transferred over from Wichita State. She's just been elite defensively for us, and down the stretch, and pretty much every overtime and in regulation, she's guarding Danae McNeil, and she's the one that's forcing tough shots. And there was a couple possessions where they don't even get a shot off, and it's because of how good of a job she did defensively, and she does defensively. And I thought our guards have really stepped up on the defensive end. And like I said, the scoring's picked up. I knew that it was going to take a little bit of time for Deani, just coming off of her injury, and
Mhm.
she's had a huge conference run for us, averaging somewhere around 13 points a game. I thought that January would be kind of when she started to peak and get that confidence back. And we had a conversation because she started a few games here and there, and every time she did, there would be a little bit of a dip. And we wanted to take the pressure off of her, and allow her to continue to get her confidence back. And I think she's just been playing so well, in her role off the bench, and really providing a spark for us. And then it also allows us to play some 2-point guard lineups with her and Ariana that have
Mhm.
really been good for us. And so, um, I like where we're at as a team, and I think that obviously those two, Mish and DK, have done such a good job for us inside. But to see the guard play really start to step up and play well down the stretch has been huge for us.
Yeah, you mentioned it, but Duncan was probably the one that I was the least familiar with, at least coming into the year. Obviously knew Jacqueline, knew Desiree to a degree, knew Diani, and outside of those three, it was like, all right, Duncan, and then I went and looked at it, and it was like, all right, all conference like defender of Wichita State and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then she comes in and she's shooting the ball at a high
Yeah.
rate too now.
Yes.
That's like the 3 and D that you need to complement the bigs. It feels like it feels like it's all kind of falling into place, and it felt like it was already falling into place like early in the year because y'all were winning games and stuff like that. But now in conference where like you get in these battles where it's like overtime and everybody scouted each other, it's like those are the players that you have step up and make big shots.
Yeah. And then one more player that she's really coming on is Desiree Wooten.
Yeah.
Um, she's a redshirt freshman for us that was injured most of last year for them, but she's another player that defensively and has been tremendous. But now offensive game is starting to come around. She had her career high last night with 16, and did it efficiently, and is just playing with a whole lot of confidence. And so it's exciting too because majority of our team is coming back. We lose
Hmm.
two huge pieces in Desiree Colonel and Deani Robinson, but to have the bulk of your team coming back and really your entire backcourt besides one guard, that's exciting for our future. And they'll have a year of our system under their belt now, so they'll feel a lot more comfortable to start the year next year. I think that our guard play to start the year next year is going to be a lot better early on. So and I think
Hmm.
you'll see more production from both Jock and Sham on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, I talked to you before the year, and I could obviously feel like the excitement that you had for this team and whatnot. But like, what's surprised you, I guess, along the way, or what's been even better than you had hoped going into the year? I'm sure there's multiple answers, but like, what stood out to you now that you're 21-7 overall?
Just how it was going to come together because we had, man, I don't remember when exactly we talked, but majority of the summer and fall, we were practicing with like 8 or 9 players.
Mhm.
Um, Sham Duncan was out with an injury. Deani was coming back from injury. Jalen Mallard injured. We probably had, 4 or 5 people that were just injured. Somebody had a concussion this summer as well. And then we had a key transfer that we were counting on to play this year that hadn't even suited up a game for us this year. And so it was kind of like, if we can get healthy, we got a
Yeah.
chance. And then you don't know how quickly everything's going to come together because it wasn't just me being in a new place, but I mean, this is a staff that I've known a lot of people on our staff for a long time, but we hadn't necessarily worked together. Only two of the coaches, 2 of our 7 had actually been with me at some point. The
Mhm.
rest were kind of putting it together. And so for everything to kind of come together as quickly as it did, and then just the buy-in. Sometimes it takes a little while for the buy-in to happen. I think some of those early wins really helped out. The win at SFA was huge because
Yes.
SFA. I mean, obviously, Coach Bishop's my guy. I've known him for forever, but that program is such a winning program, and they smacked us last year at our place, and so to be able to go to Nacogdoches and win handedly early on, I think that kind of gave us a lot of confidence going forward in the season, and so it built, and you could kind of feel that this belief as the season kind of went on that okay, we
Yeah.
got a chance to have something special, and then we felt great going into conference play, and then we lost Evan Moore, our practice player, um, and that kind of hit us hard. And so that was going into the first conference game at Charlotte. We just kind of fell apart that game in the second quarter, and still played solid and played actually good enough to win. We just shot like 40% from the free throw line.
Hmm.
Um, so you lose that one, and then we're at Temple, and if you're paying attention to what the American Conference is doing right now, Temple's sitting in first place.
Yeah.
So to win that second game on the road at Temple was so huge, and I think that did a lot for our belief as well. And so, man, I thought we would have a chance to be good and really build this thing, and I thought we would get better as the year went on, but I didn't think that. You want to believe you could be this good, but
Yeah.
it's hard to always see it, and so but now that we're here, and we're healthy, we've stayed
Hmm.
healthy. I just think we got as good a shot as anybody to win this thing.
Yeah. I will say I remember I watched y'all's game against Texas A&M at College Station, and my main takeaway was Desiree Colonel can hoop. That was my first time really seeing her,
Yeah,
a- and I think she had. Let me see. I have the box score. I don't think she like went crazy, but yeah, it was like 12 points, 22 minutes. But she went 2 or 3 from three. I was like, okay, she could step away. The shot looks good. I was like, all right, her and Lampkin, you give me a 1-2 punch, and they didn't play great that game, but I was like, they were going up against Janai Barker and
yeah,
Ware,
and
and
they're
like
good.
and I was like, "Okay, I'm buying the." I have a clip. I remember I was like, "I'm buying the front court here," and
Yeah,
so then the SFA win is really for me what like, okay, this is different. This is
and
different.
that A&M win, that A&M game, if you only watch the second half, you would think we were pretty good. That first half, we just
Yeah.
it were like we're playing A&M, and I think that it was still early in our tenure. We hadn't really won a whole lot, and so I don't think we really believed that we could win that game at first. And then the second half, we kind of settled in. And we're like, let's just start making some plays. And as we made plays, I
Yeah.
think that second half is what carried us into the SFA game. Honestly,
Mhm.
um, we made a run. I think we cut it. We were down by like 20 plus, cut it to a 10-point game, and
Yeah.
then I think we end up losing by 12 or 15, somewhere around there. But that second half was a completely different game, and we carried that into the SFA game. And um, yeah, I knew though, when De'Ani Robinson got hurt last year, Desiree Colonel started to become a different player. And then if you watch the Southland Conference tournament last year, she just took over.
Mhm.
And she took that mentality with her over here to North Texas. And she's been playing as that player ever since. And so it's definitely different competition. Like you level up. We're in the American League, and so it's different. It's different players, but I think the confidence that and the belief that she started playing with, within herself last year, and then just having better pieces around her. Tamisha Lampkin is one of the best. Probably is the best player she's ever played with as far as a big, and so to have it's hard to double. It's hard to double when you got shooters around you. You got another elite post next to you. That's allowed her game to kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna ask about this, but I mean, just watching y'all's games, the interior passing, like not big to big, but also like I don't know. I feel like the guards when they get in there usually have a good sense of where they are. That's it's not rare, but it's a learned trait. It's a trait that's really I don't know. Watching more and more women's basketball, it's like all right, those like passes inside the paint from one to the other is something that's kind of in my opinion, is tough a lot of times. I feel like they did that really well yesterday. There was that one, obviously the one clip where it was pass to pass to pass for a layup.
Yeah.
Um, is that something you feel like y'all have gotten better at, or is that something
Yeah,
y'all
I
have
mean, it's something we've talked about all year, and really we drilled home lately because there was a stretch in which Mish and DK were just turning the ball over a whole lot because we were
Mhm.
getting doubled and triple teamed, and
Yeah.
you got to find the windows, and you got to find them early. And so we've been talking a whole lot of just about early reads and recognizing the doubles, and either catch chin check or facing up early whenever you get a touch. And the issue with DK early this year though was she was so unselfish. All she wanted to do was pass the ball to Mish.
Mhm.
And so that progression from her, like being somebody that just wanted to pass and being a scorer to, I mean, the UAB game, her stat line was ridiculous. It's I think only one player has had that stat line since,
Yeah.
and they said 09-10, where she shot 75% from the field, had over 20 points, over 10 rebounds, and had 7 assists with no turnovers. DK really likes to pass the ball. And when she's making like the right read, she's elite, and she has a chance to just be a pro at some point, and whether that's overseas or wherever. I mean, that young lady's a pro when she wants to be it.
Yeah. I remember seeing that, and I was like, I know every women's team since 2016 because that's when I covered. That was my first team I covered, was the women's team in 2016, and I was like, I don't remember a stat line like that since 2016, so it had to be before that.
Yeah,
You
ridiculous.
you mentioned the American real quick. We can close out with this, but half a game out from Temple, who only has 4 losses. Y'all have 5. You and Tulsa both sitting at 5 losses. Um,
They play
this
tonight
com-
too.
and they play tonight. Who they got tonight, dude?
Temple
Obviously.
plays Tulsa.
Oh, there you go. There we go. All right, someone's gonna get a loss. Someone's gonna
Yeah,
get a loss.
somebody's gonna get a loss.
But even outside of that, man, the top. I mean, everybody besides 3 teams in the conference is like 500 or better.
Yeah,
Um, I I mean USF, who obviously USF, East Carolina, all these teams are like 8-8, 8-7. UTSA just got Jordan Jenkins back, 8-7. What has it been like going through this conference? How would you describe it?
it's tough, man. I don't think people realize how tough this league is. One, you got elite coaches. I mean, you could have never count UTSA out. I don't care if Jordan Jenkins is
No,
playing or not,
yeah,
because Karen Aston's over there, and she's an elite coach. And people like Kim McNeil, who was coach of the year last year for East Carolina. I mean, both those teams have dealt with injuries. South Florida's dealt with injury. You talk about another elite coach and Jose Fernandez. Like, you have to have game plan and then other game plans as the game goes on with
mhm,
this, and then the talent level, man. Like, there's very few people that if you give up an open shot, it's going to go in this league. And so, um, and it's the style of plays, man. Everybody has what they do really well. You got a couple people that play fast and play Princeton and shoot the threes. The Tulsas, man, Tulsa's going to spread you out and shoot the ball. I mean, Karen Aston, UTSA, they're one of the best defensive teams, along with South Florida and East Carolina, who we just played. It is a gauntlet, man, and you can lose on any given night, and it's so important to protect home. That's why we're a little disappointed we dropped those last 2 at home, because if you win your home games, it gives you a shot to win the league. But you got to protect home floor, and because it's really almost impossible to win on the road in this league, man. The teams are so good, and the travel's not easy either, especially with the schedule. It's not a consistent schedule with the Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday,
yeah,
like some leagues have, because they're trying to get us on TV. And so you may be playing, like, we're just coming off I think 4 games and 12-day stretch. So we went game 2 days, game 2 days for 12 straight days, and that was a beast in itself. And so it's the league is tough. The players are really good. And so for us to be having the success that we're having right now, man, it says a lot about just the young ladies in our locker room, and the staff, and the job they're doing.
yeah. Got Rice on Saturday. Obviously that's another tough one. I think they're 9-7, and obviously year after year they're always a really good program. So um, that'll be interesting as well. And then you close out with Memphis, and then boom, AAC
Fort Worth.
tournament in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
It's all
The
happening
blessings
really
in Fort
quick.
Worth, man. We're happy about that right there, dude. You
Well,
know,
hey, I mean, when it was Conference USA, it was great. We would just go to
go to
Frisco, and
Frisco. Yeah.
me and Colin would just sit there, and it'd be like, all right, the women's game morning, then the men's game afternoon, then we just sit there for hours. I mean, we got credentialed, but we were just fans. We were just watching the game in the media row, so it was easy for us. Some great memories in there.
I
I'm
mean, you're
interested to see
living a
how they
life
do
out
it.
there at LSU, though.
What was that?
You're living a life down there in Baton Rouge, though.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
It's pretty elite basketball out there.
I gotta talk to Kim Mulkey every day. I try to get quotes out of her. So it's a little interesting, but I mean that's where I noticed. I mean Desiree and Tamisha. I mean watching them I mean, having watched, Kim Mulkey teams the last 3 years, it's like, all right, you figure out how, like, the bigs learn to play off each other, and I think that's a really like, in the women's game especially, I always say the women's game's, like, more post-oriented in a lot of ways, at least a lot of the dominant teams, obviously, it's like, if you could figure that out, you get shots close to the basket, it's just a game changer,
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
all right, man. Well, 20 minutes. Kept you long enough. I appreciate you for getting up. I mean, it wasn't that early or anything, but 11 o'clock after finishing your game at 10 p.m. Thanks for joining me. This is great, and best of luck the rest of the way, man. We'll be rooting for you. We'll be tuning in.
Appreciate you, Matt.
Thanks, Coach.